play, log on.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Sherman D. Manning joining you live from Los Angeles, California. To all of my friends in Atlanta, Georgia, my hometown, you all might remember that I am Atlanta born, I'm Atlanta bred. When I die, I'll be Atlanta dead. Atlanta is still my hometown, and it will always be my hometown. I send this podcast out to all of my loved ones and my friends. I don't know where they broadcast this podcast. All I do is speak into the microphone, and someone else handles everything else from there. That's not my duty. That's not my responsibility. If you want to find out the person who handles all of these podcasts, contact Jorge Gandaria. Jorge Gandaria. He's the one who handles all of this. I greet you. God bless you. To my family members and my friends, all of those that I love at home in Atlanta, Georgia. To my little sisters, to my daughter Kimberly, to my brother Reginald Alaric Manning, and all of my loved ones and my friends. If you're listening in Guam, if you're in San Jose, if you're in Los Angeles today, wherever you are, I think it's around 10:45 LA time, 1:45 in the morning in Atlanta, and 7:45 in Switzerland, and I don't know what time it is where you are, but I do know this: the country's in trouble tonight. The country's in trouble. Did you see that Donald interview the other day, the press conference that he held? This man, according to Republicans, appeared to be unhinged, extremely unstable, and if you want me to be quite frank with you, I would have to say borderline psychotic. I think that we probably officially, finally have a psychologically ill United States president right now. A psychologically ill United States president right now. And of course, I don't support him, and he is not my kind of fella. But normally, when I necessarily disagree with a man's politics, it does not cause me to challenge his character or to hate him or to disrespect him or neglect him in anything, any way, any shape, form, or fashion. So I'm not that kind of guy. I did not like George Bush. I didn't think George Bush was a good president. But that did not make me believe that he was not a good man. Donald, your current United States illegitimate president, installed, hand-selected, anointed, and appointed by Putin, Donald is a bad man. He is a bad man. He is a fascist. He is a racist. He is a misogynist and a rapist. I don't know what else I can tell you. And a pedophile. And these are not words that I throw around loosely. We've got to do something about this man. And one of the things that we have to do as warriors for Christ is we have to fight. We can't just get together and pray. I was talking to a preacher friend of mine the other day, of whom I have the utmost respect, but I also have the utmost disagreement with this particular ecclesiastical prognosticator of the gospel when he talks about what we should and should be doing, should and should not be doing as the church. He basically thinks that, or she, I'm not going to say whether it is a man or a woman, but the individual thinks that we should just pray. All the church's the responsibility is to pray. I disagree vehemently. We don't need to just pray. That's a slave mentality. Okay? The Bible says that faith without works is dead. I'll repeat, faith without works is dead. I repeat, faith without works is dead. Works is an action word. Somebody told me the other day that they would pray for me. I said, you don't need to pray for me. You're in a position to help me. You don't look at a hungry man and tell him you're going to pray for him when he's hungry. If you have the ability and the wherewithal to feed him, you feed him. If a man comes to your house and says, I'm thirsty, don't holler out, I'll pray for you. God bless you. Have a good day. No, give him some water. Give him some water. And this person came back, well, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I said, that has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. We're not talking about teaching people how to fish at the moment. We're talking about feeding people at the moment. We're talking about meeting the moment with the proper message and the proper action. Feed him and then teach him how to fish. It's easier to teach a man with a full stomach than it is to teach a man with a hungry stomach. And so I'm just, quite frankly, sick and tired of some of the churches. And I grew up in the church. And I'm a preacher. I'm an apologist for the church. I love the church. But this is crisis moment. This is cold red mentality that we should have right now. This is an emergency. Churches need to come out of our shells. And we got to do more than just sing and preach. I love to sing. And I love to preach. I repeat, I love to sing. And I love to preach. But what's called for at this moment is more than singing, more than preaching, more than rhetoric. We need a plan. We need to begin to live. Eddie Long said this before he went on and made his transition. Love him or hate him, he knew he was dying. God bless him. And so even knowing that he was dying and did not have very long to live, what he started talking about was strategic, intentional living. Strategic, intentional living. And this is so important for the church. This is so important for us as people. We have to become strategic and become intentional in our living. Stop just running around, running up debt. I was telling somebody that today. I said, get out of the debt mentality. He's got an income tax check coming, and this individual has $1,300, $1,400, or $1,500 coming or so, and he began to tell me everything he was going to do with it. And I said, okay, so you've already spent this check. Why don't you pretend like you didn't get the check and just put it in the bank and have something to show for it later on. Have something for a rainy day. Strategic, intentional living. I'll say it again. Strategic, intentional living. This is what we need to begin to do as people. We need to begin to live with strategy and to live on purpose and to have a plan behind the things that we do. And so I'm coming together with others, and we're going to form a church, and we're going to form a movement, and we're going to bless the lives of people, and we're going to give those frustrated, angry citizens who cannot believe that we have this illegitimate president not only a place to vent and to air their grievances, but a place to plan and to do something about their grievances. Greater New Vision Worship Center is being organized as we speak. Greater New Vision Worship Center. And I will admit to you that we're struggling with the name. We're also contemplating naming the church Hope and Change Worship Center. Hope and Change Worship Center. So we're going to pray on those names and come up and use one of those names for our church that we are formulating right now. If you want to be a part of it, please give me a call. Call me right now, 404-386-9356. I'm sorry, wrong number. 213-377-8681. That's 213-377-8681. Give me a call. Send me an email at shermandmanning@gmail.com. That is shermandmanning@gmail.com. Email me at shermandmanning@gmail.com if you want to be a part of our church, if you want to get involved. Subscribe to Jorge Gandaria's YouTube site. He has a YouTube site. Just go check it out. Jorge, Jorge, last name Gandaria, Gandarilla. Google him on YouTube. Jorge. His last name is Gandarilla. He is doing the website for the new church. Jorge, last name Gandarilla. Go on to his YouTube site and you will see a lot of things that can be used to help pull people out of poverty and to help pull people out of ignorance and pull people out of anger and do something special for those of us who don't support this illegitimate president who has been selected by Putin. We want you to get involved. We will be holding services beginning either the last or middle week of March or the first week of April. We're still in the organizing and formulating and planning stages at this moment. I'm Sherman D. Manning, and I'm mad as hell about the fact that the greatest country on earth has elected a buffoon, has allowed him to pull the biggest con in the history of this country, perhaps the history of this world. He pulled off the biggest con in the history of this country, perhaps the biggest con in the history of this world. He pulled it off. Donald did. And you all sat by and let it happen. We got to do something about it. And sooner or later, we want to begin to talk more about criminal justice issues. I want to talk about the new slave plantation. I want to talk about the 13th Amendment. If you have seen that movie, that documentary rather, I want to suggest not only that you read my book, Creating Monsters, my other book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice, and some of the other 20 other books in addition to those two that I have written. I want to begin to suggest that you read a book called The New Jim Crow, excuse me, by Michelle Alexander. Read Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. Those two reads will change your life. If you will go get a copy of Just Mercy, M-E-R-C-Y, by Brian Stevenson, and The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, those two books will change everything you ever thought you knew about crime and punishment in this country. And get a copy of my book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice, available in local bookstores as well as on Amazon.com. And get a copy of some of my other books, Creating Monsters, From the Palace to the Prison, American Dream, A Search for Justice. Get a copy of those books, and they will change everything you thought you knew about criminal justice in this country, crime and punishment in this country. The system is rigged, baby girl. Don't let anybody fool you. R-I-G-G-E-D. And this is not some conspiratorial allegation based on a lack of information, excuse me, but based on empirical data. I can tell you that this is a prison state, this is a prison nation, and that the system itself is rigged. It's rigged to keep poor people poor. It's rigged to keep poor people incarcerated. It's rigged to keep poor people locked up. And they lock you up one way or another. And that is what it is rigged to do. And we need to do something about that. And we need to do it with deliberate speed. We need to change this country. When a man, first of all, we lock up too many people for too long. And often we lock them up for stuff they didn't even do. And then while they sit there and rot in prison, they get out, and then we introduce them and induct them into a parole system that is rigged to cause them to fail. I'm here to tell you what I know to be true. The parole system is rigged to keep people incarcerated, to keep people slaves. It is a slave system with a slave mentality designed to keep people slaves. And something needs to be done about that, and something needs to be done about it quickly. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. A system that is set up to make sure that the parolee fails, and to make sure that the parolee stays in trouble, stays indebted and indentured as a slave to the system. If you knew what they do to people who are on parole, the way they lock them up for nothing. When I say for nothing, I mean for nothing. Somebody on parole, you could just pick up the telephone and call and say he threatened you. You don't have to have a text. You don't have to have an email. You don't have to have a recording. You don't have to have anything except your mouth. And you speak the words.